What's going on, folks? So, one of the things I like to do when I'm not, busy with work or business, I like to watch movies. So, lately I've been watching movies through this platform called Tubi TV. So, I was looking for something to watch and I went to their cult classic section and I found this movie with Tom Hanks in it that I never seen before. And the poster looks strange because um, it looked like they took a picture from another movie because it just this looks like a picture that came from the movie Big because this is because I did a little bit of digging and this is like the original picture. So this movie is they say it came out in 1982. It may have been the time it was released, but when you looking at it, it seemed like it was filmed like in 1979 or 1980 because that makes more sense because Tom Hanks' breakthrough role was Bosom Buddies, and that came out like from 1980 to 82, and he wasn't a big star after that, but he was a big enough star to where he wouldn't go backwards by playing in a movie like this. So this movie, Mazes and Monsters, obviously, if you were growing up in that time, I was like a young kid, maybe what 8 or 9 years old. So they had this game that was popular called Dungeons and Dragons. So by the title, I knew it was kind of like a take on that. And so the movie starts with like all this chaos, police officers all around, news reporters. So they're looking for something terrible happened, and this game, Mazes and Monsters, is responsible for it. So then flashes back 6 months later. Then it give us time to like introduce our characters. These are all basically rich, privileged kids who what they have in common, they all have issues with their parents. Parents don't think they're being serious enough and things like that. So when they come back to school, they get together and they start playing this game called like mazes and monsters. And so for the first 20 or 30 minutes, nothing really happens because they playing this board game and stuff like that. And um the one thing that does happen is like the, I guess the youngest member, most awkward member, the guy you see in the picture holding the sword, um, he decides he's gonna amp up the game, so he go checks out this real cave, full of different tunnels, and he suggests that they go play this game in there. So they go play the game in there, and Tom Hanks' character, he seems to see like a real monster that he kills and stabs and stuff like that. So from that point on, for him, he started seeing like visions of some guy telling him, "Hey, you gotta come to the hall, find the tower," and stuff like that. So he all of a sudden becomes this holy figure. And so the young lady you see on the right was his girlfriend from a time, and he's like, "Hey, I'm still cool with you, but I'm a holy man now, so I can't be with you." So he does that, and so again, it's all tied up about playing the game, right? Playing the game. So they play the game some more. Then they just notice the Tom Hanks character kind of becomes more distant because he seemed to be living out the role in real life. And so one night they have this Halloween Halloween party. Everybody dressed up. Tom Hanks is dressed up as a holy man, and somewhere in the middle of the party, he just walks off. They don't see him again. They all try to look for him and find him. Can't find him. So they decide they kind of hesitant about going to the police because that little cavern full of caves they was having a game and was sort of like off limits to be in there and stuff like that. So they assumed since he was stuck in game mode that he went inside the cave. So they figure out a sneaky way to report it to the police without implementing themselves as suspects in this whole situation. So they get the police searching, doing this whole gigantic search party at the cave, and that's sort of like what you seen at the beginning of the movie. All the chaos was the police looking for the Tom Hanks character. But to make a long story short, he's not actually in the cave. He's walking around in downtown Manhattan, Times Square, you know, hallucinating because two guys try to rob him, and he thinks that they're monsters, so he stabs one. He thinks he killed the guy, so he calls his friends hysterical. Hey, I killed somebody. They say meet us at JJ's house and we'll figure it out. So he don't go to JJ's house. He runs into the subway. He runs into the subway. He goes into like a unknown off limit area way at the bottom where he's sort of like under the train. Under the train, he meets a homeless man. He asks the homeless man, "Do you know where the tower? Do you know where the towers are? The two towers, two towers." And the guy's like, "Two towers?" Then he's like, "Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about." So again, this movie was made like in '79 or 1980 or something like that. So to make a long story short, he don't come to the friend's house. They go after him, or they try to figure out where he is by what he was talking about. He was talking about the towers, two towers, and the hall, the guy at the hall or whatever. And they figure out, oh, he met the World Trade Center, the Twin Towers. So they go to the Twin Towers, and it's kind of like when the movie gets really ridiculous. And it's like in the non-cell phone era, the non-era where we have cameras located everywhere. So they trying to chase him around the World Trade Center. And first of all, the World Trade Center is like two buildings that's like over 100 stories high. So he can be anywhere in that building. You're not gonna just run into him by chance, which they do. And he's actually at the observatory point at the top about to go meet Hall, because apparently he had an older brother who was missing or something like that. So when he went into this delusionary stage, the guy in his hallucination was his brother. So he was going to meet his brother by like jumping off the tower because he's assuming he's this pious character in this game that he can fly, and they coach him off, and he gets help. They go get to see him. They go see him a few months later, and when they meet him, he's still in this game playing mode that he's this character. And at the they decide to go play along with it at the end, and go exploring around with Tom Hanks in the backyard of this gigantic house with all this areas like a whole forest in the back of that house. You know, so that's pretty much the end. Not a very exciting movie. It was actually a TV movie. Like I said, this was obviously made before Tom Hanks played in Bosom Buddies. Because why would he be in a movie of that low quality after he did Bosom Buddies? So it was obviously one of these things where he filmed this movie. It was probably gonna never come out. Then he got famous, so they put it out. Then, like in later years, when he got more famous, they posted it. You know, they took everybody else and posted his face on it like this. You know, when this again, this is not a picture of Tom Hanks from the early '80s. This is obvious. You know, 1987, '88. Like I said, when he played in that movie Big, that's what it looked like to me. So ultimately, okay movie, not great by any standards, but if you were into that Dungeons and Dragon stuff when you were young, I mean, you might enjoy it. I looked at it as though it was just all right. You know, wasn't anything spectacular, and that's my take on it. All right, y'all. I'll be back with another one. Peace.